And I'll start with a roll call. Mr. Bonniville?
Present.
Mr. Chriscoe?
Here.
Ms. Hanson? Here. Mr. Hutson?
Here.
Dr. Leming?
Here.
Mr. Nicosia?
Here.
Dr. Orth? Here. All present. If the audience could stand with us for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, that will be led by Pastor Joe Brewer from New Life Ministry Center.
Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day you have given us. It is a beautiful day and has been a great day, and it is not the least of your many blessings. All who are gathered here have come to conduct the business of Gloucester County. We humbly ask that wisdom would prevail in these proceedings, that all that is said and done brings glory to your name, and through that business brings prosperity, peace, and security to the citizens of Gloucester County. We ask this in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. And in all that is accomplished, we shall give you all the praise. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
Amen.
As the first order of business, the board will elect a chair for 2026. Nominations do not require a second, and in the event of multiple nominees, the votes will be undertaken in the order of nomination, with the first to achieve majority support declared chair. At this time, the floor is open for nominations for chair.
Madam Pro Tem,
Yes.
I think that's what you're supposed to. Would it be appropriate at this time to request the board to switch items 3 and items 4 on the agenda with the board's approval?
If the board approves, that's fine with me. So you want to do the approval of the resolution of the board's rules?
I'm so sorry. I apologize.
You want to move the board's 2026 rules of procedure, et cetera, up?
Yes. If I could speak to that, the rules actually proscribe how the election should be conducted. At the moment, the rules dissolved in 2025, and we are without rules. According to Robert's rules, you have to adopt the rules before you can have an election. And I understand that it's been done this way many times. I think that's somewhat akin to my pleading to the judge that I've driven up 14 at 70 miles an hour many times. And I'm not sure that that would fly with my speeding ticket. It's just a procedural issue, but we just ought to do it right if we're going to do it.
Is there a consensus by the board to move forward with that? Okay. So you've had before you the rules of procedures, the code of ethics, and the standards of conduct. And are there any changes, or are there any motions that would like to be made?
I want to change, in our packet, it's page 106, where we go from board to set and open doors, and then it says the board may hold closed meetings as permitted by law, and then we have a paragraph that starts with closed meetings. I think we need to move where it says section 1.7, closed meetings, ahead of that paragraph.
Okay. So I take that's in the form of a motion.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion?
Can we pause for just a second while council tries to find where we are?
I'm trying to find where we are. So Trish, where was it, what page number was it in the original version?
106.
In the original version?
Yes.
It should be,
The bottom of page 106.
What page number is it in there? 2 of 11.
2 of 11. Right
So
there.
it's page 10 on the computer.
you go to page 10 on here, you'll find it. I don't know where your mouse is, but I know what he's talking about now. Just scroll down. Just scroll all the way down. Keep going. You got it. Keep going. No, page 10. Keep going. You're on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Down at the very bottom of that page, Ted, where it says 1.7, 1-7, I'd like to move that to the paragraph before.
For clarification for council, not for my benefit, you want to combine 1.7 and 1.6?
No, I want to combine the two paragraphs and that, for closed meetings into 1.7 or 1-7.
Oh, I see.
So you want to take the second paragraph of 1.6 and put it down in 1.7?
The first paragraph of second paragraph of 1.6.
Yes, sir, that's fine. Thank you for helping me. No objection.
Do we need a roll vote on this?
Yes.
So there's, a motion's been made and a second. Is there any other discussion? Okay, calling the roll. Mr. Chriscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Hanson? Miss Hanson, sorry. That's a hard habit to break, and one I'm happy to. Mr. Hutson?
Yes.
Dr. Leming?
Yes.
Mr. Nicosia?
Yes.
Dr. Orth?
Yes.
And Mr. Bonniville? Okay, that change is made. Are there-
Ms. Steele, a comment. Since we have rules of procedures, code of conduct, normally we've had the chair read those, so I
Gotta
assume
elect the chair first.
we'll have to elect chair. We'll have that later.
Madam Pro Tem, I would move that the rules of procedure as presented in our packet, now amended by Chris, be adopted.
We just did.
We
Now, you
just
voted
did
to
that.
combine those two paragraphs.
Oh,
My motion is
I'll
to
second
approve
it.
all of it, as it's presented in the packet on my computer.
Second.
Okay, is there a second? Yep. Okay, any discussion? Okay. All in, well, I think it's normally been like there's a roll call. Okay, Ms. Hanson? Yes. Mr. Hutson?
Yes.
Dr. Leming?
Yes.
Mr. Nicosia?
Yes.
Dr. Orth?
Yes.
Mr. Bonniville? And Mr. Chriscoe?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. So now we are moved on to so my understanding, just to clarify, since we're all doing this kind of different tonight, I believe that you just moved and it was approved to do the rules of procedures. That did not include the code of ethics and standards of conduct. So that's the next. So are there any changes to the code of ethics that anybody would like to make? Or the standards of conduct? Is there a nomination to maybe adopt both at the same time?
So moved.
Okay, second. Any discussion? Okay, for approving both of them? Mr. Hutson?
Yes.
Dr. Leming? Mr. Nicosia?
Yes.
Dr. Orth?
Yes.
Mr. Bonniville? Mr. Chriscoe?
Yes.
And Ms. Hanson? Okay. So now we are back to, are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Ashley Chriscoe for chair.
And
Second.
I'll second it.
What he said.
If there are no other nominations at this time, the floor is closed for nominations. I will now poll the board for the adoption of the resolution that appoints Mr. Chriscoe as chair. Dr. Leming?
Yes.
Mr. Nicosia?
Yes.
Dr. Orth?
Yes.
Mr. Bonniville?
Yes.
Mr. Chriscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
And Mr. Hutson?
Yes.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to thank my board for having the faith and trust in me to lead us for the next year. With that, we now have a resolution appointing a vice chair. I'll open the floor for nominations.
I'll nominate Mr. Nicosia.
I'd like to second the motion.
Seeing no other nominations, this time I'll close those. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Steele, would you poll the board on Mr. Nicosia?
Mr. Nicosia? Dr. Orth? Mr. Bonniville?
Yes.
Mr. Chriscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson? Yes. Mr. Hutson?
Yes.
And Dr. Leming?
Yes.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you all. Yes. At this point in time, since we now have a chairman, I'm going to read the code of ethics, which is required at our meeting for the board members sitting here and for the general public. Recognizing that persons who hold public office have been given a trust and that stewardship of such office demands the highest levels of ethical and moral conduct, members of the Gloucester County Board of Supervisors agree to adhere to the following code of ethics. 1, uphold the Constitution, laws, and regulations of the United States and of all the governments therein, and never knowingly be a party to their evasion. Number 2, put loyalty to the highest moral principles in the county above loyalty to individuals or particular groups. Number 3, give a full measure of effort and service to the position of trust for which stewardship has been granted, giving earnest effort and best thought to the performance of duties. Number 4, seek to find and use the most equitable, efficient, effective, and economical means for getting tasks accomplished. Number 5, adopt policies and programs that support the rights and recognize the needs of all citizens regardless of race, sex, age, religion, creed, country of origin, or disability. Number 6, avoid speech, policies, programs, or activities that discriminate against or offend individuals because of race, sex, age, religion, creed, country of origin, or disability. Number 7, ensure the integrity of the actions of the Board of Supervisors by avoiding the dispensing of special favors or unfair privileges to anyone, whether for remuneration or not. A member should never accept for himself, herself, or for family members or friends favors or benefits that might be construed by reasonable persons as influencing the performance of governmental duties. Number 8, make no private promises of any kind binding upon the duties of any office, since a public servant has no private word that can be binding on public duty. Number 9, engage in no business with the county government or the school system, either directly or indirectly, which is inconsistent with the conscientious performance of government duties. Number 10, use any information gained confidentially in the performance of governmental duties as a means of making private profit. Number 11, when any misconduct, neglect, or duty or corruption is discovered, the members of the board, as a body, will pursue and respond appropriately. Number 12, adhere to the principles that public business should be conducted in the public view by observing and following the letter and spirit of the Freedom of Information Act. Use closed meetings only to deal with sensitive personnel, legal, or contractual matters as provided by the Code of Virginia. Number 13, avoid criticizing colleagues or citizens by impugning their integrity or vilifying their personal beliefs. Number 14, make sure when responding to the media that a clear distinction is made between personal opinion or belief and the position of the board. Number 15, review orally and in public session at the annual meeting each of these principles. And number 16 is pledge to honor and uphold these principles, ever conscious that public office is a public trust. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move the balance of the agenda be adopted.
We need to make a couple of make a modification before we do that, Dr. Leming. After discussion with the county administrator, item B under the regular agenda, discussion of proposed organizational change. At this time, we're going to remove that. It's for several reasons. One is the organizational change at this time could lead to some impacts to the budget, so we could revisit at a later date. But at this time, we're going to look at maybe just bringing some of the tourism stuff and economic development together without bringing in new people to do this. So we're going to be looking at going forward with that. So at this point, if you don't mind, Dr. Leming, if you would make your motion to remove item B from the regular agenda.
Same motion, sans B.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. Yep, sorry. Yep, sorry. All right, we'll do that in a second. Yes. So with that, all in favor, please signify by saying aye for the adoption of the agenda. Aye. Aye. Now we'll go to the approval of the minutes for September 2nd, September 11th, and September 16th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Next, we have approval of our consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Next, we have matters presented by the board.
I'd like to welcome our 2 new members and look forward to working with you all over the next few years. Welcome.
Yep. Anything the new members would like to say at this point? I mean, I know it's your first meeting, and I'm sure your phones have been lighting up with concerns in these, the first 6 days that you've been an elected official.
Actually, the phones have been lighting up for a lot longer than that, I think, but anyway. Thank you, Dr. Orth. I appreciate that. I was shared a concern this week by a marine contractor. I don't have that concern in writing yet. I've asked him to put that in writing. His name is Terry Emerson. I know who he is. Mr. Emerson contacted me and complained that he felt that planning and zoning's requirement that he provide them with drawings to scale was burdensome and was discordant with other localities where he functions. He functions in Matthews, Gloucester, King and Queen, Lancaster, the whole York, the whole drill. And he felt that the requirement that those drawings be submitted in scale, additionally to being burdensome, caused a significant delay in the approval of his permits. I've asked him to put that into writing in an email to me. I've not gotten it, but when I do, I will forward it to the county administrator. Another topic that I think I would like to see the board deal with, I saw Ms., and I apologize for not responding to you, Ms. Cronin, anyway. Ms. Cronin published a list of agenda items sort of for the future of the year, and I appreciated getting that. I should have responded, but one of the items that my constituents are concerned about are blighted properties. And I don't have a motion, Mr. Chairman. I will tell you that there is a sense that there are some chronically blighted properties within at least my district, if not the county, that have gone on for decades and are truly eyesores and health hazards. And I would like to see, I don't know a way to do it, whether board council gets to work on a sort of, or we have a working group that works on it. But in the future, I have an interest in blighted properties. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Leming. Anybody else? Okay. Next up, we'll have county administrator items. Ms. Steele.
I don't think I've ever been to a board meeting where we've had cupcakes, but tonight is it's a special evening. This is our first board meeting of 2026, and 2026 is not only the 250th anniversary of our country's independence, but it happens to be the 375th anniversary for our county's existence. So the board members have cupcakes at their seats. The rest are open to the public as you'd like. We also put copies of the logos and the logo and things that you might see in the future, and as far as merchandise. And we've met with the staff about some of the activities coming up and anticipate that Matt Barber will be here at the next meeting to provide information on a year's worth of different things that are happening between the 250th and the 375. So, and that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no scheduled presentations. Next up, we will move to public comment period. Speakers, as you come forward, please state your name, magisterial district, and we will allow you 3 minutes for your comments. 3 minutes, sir.
Sure. Lord have mercy.
He already got 5.
I would think.
I think I gave him 4 or 5.
You may know. Well, I can cut one item because you cut it before.
Mr. Wilmot, you control the clock.
Do you have a list?
Bring this down. Okay.
I can bring this over.
Thank you. You're welcome. Appreciate that. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Ms. Steele, Mr. Wilmot, Howard Mowry, York District. Congratulations to the new board members and staff. A happy new year and a prosperous one. I have a few words, hoping you will allow the chair to make public 5 minutes on the first and second meetings of each month. Just think, it is only 2 hours a year, and yours is unlimited. Now down to business. As all of you are aware, contracts need to be written with critical language, whether for government employees or contracts written for the betterment of the county. There can be expensive costs when attempts are made with cancellation is in mind. After all, we are dealing with the taxpayers' net income, and some of that may be sparse. This is a bountiful year for the new supervisors. When it comes to the current budget, by the end of 30 June 2026, we may well end with a substantial windfall in funds, 3 to 4 million. The new board must designate where these funds are to be obligated to out of the open general fund. We have in the county many intersections that are vehicle destruction due to the erosion by the use, and no VDOT thinking that these turn lanes need to be wider and filled in with asphalt. I am a peasant of VDOT, but a phone call you or the county administrator will fix the broken road system. After all, it is our money. Now my comments will affect all the citizens except babies and children must pay no taxes. The water system is an enterprise system. It is broke. Suggesting placing it in the black and upgrading the entire system, which has been neglected for 40 or more years. Eliminate the current water committee and have this board find new members. Sorry about that. Current ones cannot be replaced. Place a $20 bill on every piece of land, building, or vacant lot to develop a surcharge set aside for the upgrading of this business. The alternative is a 1 cent in the sales tax designated only for the utility system upgrade and not for the daily operating cost of this business. The county is broke. We have no rainy day funds. Have the finance director provide you with the remaining funds to operate the first 6 months if 12 to 14% of funds were removed to an interest-bearing account in the Treasurer's Department. State code provides the supervisors with the opportunity to develop a committee to assess them in their myriad rules developed by the state and the suggestions developed by the county administration. We are overrun with parks that have no revenue base and should be sold. Additionally, the need to combine the two, that one I gotta skip. How much is the property tax windfall is going to be readjusted to the property owners? I thank you for the opportunity and the time. Now for results.
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. Any other members of the public that would like to address the board?
Good evening. My name is Al Ramsey. I live in the Ware district, work in the Ware district, have a business in the Ware district, and for those of you who don't know me, I currently am the chair for the EDA for the county. I sent a letter. I appreciate the specifics of what I'm going to wanted to talk about have been removed from the agenda, but since I came, I still want to get up and let you all know I appreciate you taking the time, hopefully to have read my points and taking them into consideration, especially if you're going to revisit this idea down the road. I know the entire board that I work with and have worked with for the past multiple years is more than interested in cooperating and coming to the best solution for the county moving forward. And I leave my door open and hopefully my phone available to anybody who wants to take the time to call me or anybody else on our board and sit down and have some positive discussions so we can get a good path forward for the whole county. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Any other members of the public before we ask Ms. Cronin for emails or phone calls?
Okay. I'm Diane Jones, and I am from the Ware District, represented by the Natalie-attired Mr. Nicosia. I went to the last Planning Commission meeting where they denied the 400-unit fiasco that they wanted to put near Walmart. Hopefully the board will not undeny it. I don't know if that's possible, but I hope they won't. We thank God for the ward members that we prayed in. And we thank you for your service here. And we are expecting a very nice conservative group. I believe your financial issues would be completely solved if you put a 15% sales tax on things and got rid of the personal property tax and got rid of the real estate tax. Real estate tax they're both slavery. In other words, we don't own our homes, we don't own our cars. That's kind of communism anyway. If we have to pay rent to the county to keep them. So I'd like to propose substituting those two confiscatory taxes to a 15% around the community tax on goods sold. Okay? Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Eric Perez. I live at Gloucester Point District. I grew up here since I was 3 years old, moved here in '87. Grew up on Old 17. I live on Old 17 after I joined the military, came back. That road's dangerous. The speed limit is 45. People go well beyond it. And my nephews live on that road, right across the street from me. And people pass the buses when there's a bus stop out there. And I'm requesting that the speed limit be dropped to 35 miles an hour. Trust me, I love to speed just as much as anybody else. However, it's about safety. I've got a kid as well. She's 6 years old. She rides her bike at my parents' house, which I live right across the street from, where I grew up at, and I fear for her safety every day. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Any other members of the public tonight wishing to speak? Seeing none, Ms. Cronin, would you like to read the online comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first comment submitted by Buddy Riley in the Abingdon District regarding the item that was removed from the agenda, the consolidation. As a current EDA member, I'm against combining EDA and tourism. I believe it would be beneficial for some county cities, but not for Gloucester. Ms. Spring does a very good job for Gloucester County. Thanks. Second comment from Kenny Hogg Sr. from Gloucester Point District. We find ourselves beginning another new calendar year with 3 new members on the board. The question is, will this new board continue to follow the path of financially propping up social amenities like parks, recreation, community engagement, and the pipe dream of tourism becoming an economic driver? Or will you reset the administration's priorities of governance by placing our local water and sewer infrastructure among the highest priorities? There are many of us in the community who truly hope you will do the latter. Tonight you will discuss creating a Department of Economic Development and Tourism, which will only serve to increase the size of our local government and to waste more tax dollars on the unrealistic pipe dream of tourism becoming a substantial economic driver in Gloucester County. Gloucester does not have an amusement park or any other such attractions. The historic sites here are sparse and do not and will not attract enough tourists to pay for the proposed enlargement of our government, therefore resulting in an additional financial burden on local taxpayers. Now, if I am wrong, please show us definitive proof that tourism in Gloucester will generate enough revenue to cover all associated expenditures and lower the taxing requirements currently levied against all of us who call Gloucester our home. Without definitive proof requested, I am dead set against the proposed expansion of our local government. In fact, I suggest that this board does everything possible to cut out a lot of the social amenities that are currently unwanted by most and are an unnecessary financial burden on the hardworking, tax-paying citizens of Gloucester County. A few months ago, a previous member of the board attempted to start a conversation about the board's rules on public comments during board meetings. A current member of the board quickly suggested having the discussion when the new board meets in January. January is here. When can we expect this discussion? It's pretty clear that traffic on Route 17 has increased since the removal of the toll on the Coleman Bridge. When can we expect to see updated traffic count information? Speaking of VDOT, there are a lot of road shoulders in Gloucester that are unsafe, to say the least. Maybe some phone calls from some influential people will shine enough light on the dangerous conditions of a lot of our highways and side road shoulders in Gloucester. Respectfully, Kenny Hogg, Sr. Those are all the comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Cronin. Seeing no other comments, we will close the public comment period. We will move on to public hearings, which we have none scheduled. At this time, we will move on to our regular agenda. First item on our regular agenda, is an update on Gloucester Volunteer Fire and Rescue Squad, new Station 1 status. Ms. Maria Calloway, Deputy County Administrator, CFO.
Good evening, and welcome to the new board members. Congratulations to the new chair and vice chair. This evening, I'm just going to provide an update on the financing of Gloucester Volunteer Fire and Rescue Station 1. I wanted to start first by going back a little bit, just through the month of December, so that to recap what has gone on this month. So, beginning on December 2nd of this month, we had our board meeting where the board approved a resolution to exempt the fire department from having to build to LEED standards, hoping to save some costs there. And secondly, the board established that the procurement would be handled in accordance with county guidelines, which are also in accordance with state law. Following that meeting on Monday, December 8th, the county purchasing agent and myself met with Gloucester Volunteer Fire and Rescue representatives regarding that procurement timeline. And so we discussed a process where we would pre-qualify contractors first. That's called a request for qualification, or an RFQ. And then secondly, we would issue an invitation for bid. So that's called an IFB. And so then only qualified contractors would be eligible to bid on the project. And we initially discussed starting the process in December and hopefully awarding the contract in July. So following that meeting, we provided the fire department with our templates for the RFQ and the IFB, and we've been in contact with their contracted construction manager, who is working on inputting into those templates the things that are important to the fire department, and then we'll be returning them to our purchasing agent to work through next steps. So that's where we are with the procurement right now. So then subsequently on December 19th, we held a very well-attended meeting. We had 18 attendees, and that was to gather all of the representatives from the varying groups that have been involved in one room. And so that included Gloucester Volunteer Fire and Rescue members, and also advisors, Gloucester County staff, Gloucester County advisors from Davenport, as well as our bond council, Board of Supervisors members, and members of the Economic Development Authority. So during that meeting, not first, but I'll tell you the two main things. We did touch on county procurement and essentially revisited briefly what I just mentioned. But then most of the meeting was extensive discussion regarding the financing and borrowing options. So I'm gonna touch on those main points. So this is kind of the financing structure. What do we know? What are the knowns that we all agreed upon in that room and I believe are checked off? The first is that the bonds are going to be structured as 501c3 tax-exempt bonds. I think we all agree on that. That is going to be the case because the the underlying, or the main use, not underlying, but the main use of the property is for a nonprofit organization. So moving forward, that's the type of bonds we intend to issue. The second known is that the EDA is expected to be the bond issuer. And so again, known, everybody is comfortable with that from what I understood leaving that meeting. And that doesn't mean that the EDA is committing to anything per se. It means that they're going to be the conduit issuer as allowable by law. That does require a public hearing. And so we talked a little bit about the public hearing and a very important number that goes into this public hearing, which is called a not to exceed amount. So I'm going to dig into that a little bit. The not to exceed amount is a ceiling for what we can borrow in any one borrowing. And so if you set that number too low and things come in much higher, the board has no flexibility without then re-advertising and doing another public hearing. So we talked at length about this number, and we all likely have seen in the budget from 2026 that it's about $17.5 million in project costs that for the fire department. So we discussed then adding an 8% contingency to that, and then including $750,000 for borrowing and issuance costs. Now that number does not go to any one person. That 750 is a ceiling. Again, we're not talking about what we think it will actually cost. We're talking a ceiling, and that goes. It could fund the county to get a bond rating if necessary. It could fund our bond counsel, our financial advisors, and then the fire department has also secured a bond counsel. It could potentially fund their bond counsel. So it's intended to make sure that all the costs that are of borrowing are incorporated. So you add all those numbers together, it rounds to about 20 million. So the reason I wanted to highlight this is because this number comes out in a public hearing. It will come out at a future date when the public hearing notice is published, and it will say the board is not to exceed a borrowing of 20 million is what the recommendation is. That means that the board will have many more chances to review the actual financing, and that is not what the board is actually committing to borrowing. So I just wanted to be clear about that it's intended to provide flexibility so that when you are making a decision, you have all of the information in front of you versus saying we will only borrow, say, $17.5 million and there is no flexibility left. So I wanted to highlight that we did discuss that number. We came up with the 20 million collectively in that large group, and it appeared everybody was comfortable with that. So moving into the couple of key items that are still being finalized, and they're codependent on each other. One is the ownership of the building, and the other is the final structure of the loan. The structure that is, to be finalized, we need to understand the ownership of the building. So that is currently being worked on with county staff, and more info is going to be forthcoming for the board on that. Lastly, I wanted to let you know that we've been working with our financial advisors at Davenport very closely on the financing scenarios, and that's mostly related to payment terms, such as what are the current interest rates, length of the loan. They're looking at the current market for us, and they've provided scenarios, and so we are actively reviewing to understand those scenarios, and they intend to be present at your January 20th work session to go over those scenarios with you. And I expect we'll have more information at that time as well. That is all I have. I welcome any questions or...
Any questions for Ms. Calloway?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Dr. Leming.
Ms. Calloway, I always appreciate your expertise and your presentations. I will express to you just a little bit of concern, having built a number of municipal buildings in my life where no bids have ever been seen. What's the scenario if the bids come back at 22 million? Because that's not out of the realm of possibility, since we have no contractor who's provided even a rough estimate? I mean,
So if I may, the 17 and a half, it's really 17.389. So we've 17 and a half million estimate was developed with architects that are intimately familiar with the drawings. We've also compared it with Newport News just had a fire department that was bid. That did come in a little higher per square foot, and we all know each square foot is not exactly the same. But Newport News is also required to build to lead, so we're hoping that's maybe part of that. Otherwise, it appears to be in line. While we share, from a procurement standpoint, it would always be great to get the bids and know exactly what you're working with going into it. It would delay the process. We could reject all the bids and rebid.
Correct.
Thank you, Dr. Leming.
Yep. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I think I
don't,
can stay.
Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You just gotta keep flipping pages in your notebook, Ms. Calloway. I believe our next item up will be the board retreat follow-up information from Ms. Calloway.
Thank you. I will get this light if I can remember. Is it the first one? I never get it right. Sorry, it's the last one, right? Too dark. No, keep that one on. There we go. Is it coming? Oh, it's okay. Thank you. All right, so on November 22nd this year, we held a Board of Supervisors retreat in which there were several questions, lots of good discussion, and I'm here tonight to provide some information in response to that, those questions that may have arisen during the retreat, and also potentially seek board feedback on some items, and happy to also answer your questions or come back with additional information as requested. The main points we're going to hit are regarding permitting fees and cost recovery, which I'll touch on, meals tax rate, the impact of the federal government shutdown, and then policy changes for staff leave. That's a county staff personnel policy. Beginning with the permitting fees and the cost recovery, what this focused on was when we are charging fees, specifically permitting fees is what we zeroed in on, what percentage of those fees is covering the costs to operate the department. So I did many years looked back, but in the most recent 5 years, we found that for building inspections, the average for 5 years was 47% of the fees collected, covered 47% of their expenses, 16% for environmental, and 8% for planning and zoning. So what I wanted to also highlight in the column on the far right is that over those 5 years, the percentage of the fees, the percentage of the expenses that the revenue has covered has decreased. And that's consistent with our fees staying the same and costs climbing, which you're going to see in the next couple of slides. So this is a 5-year history for building inspections. So the total column represents the total amount of costs in a year, and these are operating costs. And then the green bar at the bottom with the percentage represents the revenue. So 2021, of the $609,000 that it took to run building inspections, 49% of that was covered with fee revenue. And now in 2025, 42% is covered by fee revenue. So, and you'll also notice in all of these the little outlier of 2022, where building was just happening. There was a lot of construction going on locally, and also just in all realms of, there was a lot of spending happening specific to construction. So that's a bit of an outlier in all of these. For planning and zoning, same idea, started in 2021 at 10%, and now it is 7%. And you can see the climb. I want to mention I have removed out of planning and zoning and environmental, a couple of outlier costs for consistency. So one, for planning and zoning, we have funding for the comprehensive plan. I didn't feel that that was an operating cost as it wasn't in several of these years, so I've removed that for consistency across all of the years. Environmental, same idea. I've removed the solar inspector costs, which are a pass-through, to make this consistent. So if you're comparing dollar for dollar to anything else, you'll notice a discrepancy of that amount. So I wanted to mention that in 2024, during the fiscal year 2025 budget process, the Ms. Steele did present some options or some suggestions of potential fee increases. Those were not pursued during that budget, so the fees have remained the same. And what we would appreciate from the board is feedback if this is something you would like us to revisit. I have spoken with Ms. Ducey Ortiz. This is pretty extensive to do benchmarking. Not all of these fees are simple. They're not a flat rate. Many of them are incremental based on square footage or other factors. So it is tough to benchmark in comparison with other localities, but we are happy to gather information if that is the wish and the direction of the board to provide for the upcoming budget.
We'll do that. Let her finish, and then we'll have that discussion.
Do that at the end?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the second topic is the meals tax rate. Mr. Wilmot did provide the board with a memo that also incorporated this information regarding the meals tax, which was the specific question. And as you can see in the first row that's not blue of this slide, the prepared meals or meals tax, we have two pieces of our tax rate, and one is the county portion and one is the state. So I have broken it out in that way. The county portion of the meals tax rate is currently 4%, and the maximum allowed by law is 6%. So, and citizens should see, or visitors, when they go to a restaurant, should see 10.3% for meals tax. And then the sales tax, I do have that asterisk there. I wanted to provide all three of these taxes just because they oftentimes in budget reports I kind of put them together as consumer-driven taxes. And that general sales tax, the 2% you see in that the first row, column, includes the 1% that is dedicated to school sales tax. So this is not all free money there, but our total general sales tax rate is 6.3%. And then finally, the lodging total is 11.3, and for both general sales and general sales and lodging, we are at the maximum allowable by law. All right, the impact of the federal government shutdown, we had some discussion about this in relation to, there was quite a period of time, more than a month, where the government was shut down, and how does that impact us on a local level? And what does that look like while we are in the shutdown? Is there a contraction of spending and an impact to revenue? And then also, does that spending rebound higher than maybe it would have otherwise been if there had been no shutdown? So I don't have any data to provide you here because a lot of that data to trickle down to the local level takes several months. So for instance, sales tax, we will not get sales tax data for December until February, and that's actually the end of February. So I will provide what information I am able during the February update to the board for the financials. And lastly is the county leave policy changes. This was mostly an FYI, so you're aware, and also for the benefit of any employees, current or future potential recruiting efforts here. So our leave policy is based on which retirement plan you are a part of. So the county participates in the Virginia Retirement System, also known as VRS, and historically we had Plan 1 and Plan 2, which was based on when you started and your tenure. And effective January 1 of 2014, so almost 12 years ago now, VRS rolled out the hybrid plan. And so the hybrid plan is not as robust in pension benefits as the other two plans, but it does provide a component for short-term and long-term disability built in, which is not a component of the other two plans. Therefore, in 2014, when this plan was rolled out, the decision was made for staff on the hybrid plan to earn less leave. So staff earns a single bucket of leave called paid time off and no sick leave. And so I have several little charts here, and then I'll touch on some of the reasons why we dug into this. So first, VRS Plan 1 and Plan 2, so those beginning in VRS before January 1st of 2014, and also law enforcement. Law enforcement are not required to be on the hybrid plan. They are able to participate in the VRS Plan 2. You can see for the varying levels of service, in the first numerical column, they earn between 8 and 14 hours of annual leave, that's vacation leave essentially, per month, and 8 hours per month of sick leave. So that total accrual between 16 and 22 hours per month. However, I do want to remind, as I mentioned, the short-term and long-term disability components, those in these plans must fund any lengthy illnesses with their sick leave, which is why those higher accruals are a part of this bank. So now the current plan, you can see that the max leave is between 12 and 16 hours per month, and that is the total leave earned. And you can see right now 0 sick leave. The proposal, or the effective January 1, is to implement 3 hours per month of sick leave for hybrid employees. And so that would make the combined monthly accrual for a hybrid employee beginning at work after January 1, 2014, between 15 and 19 hours per month. This gives you a comparison of what the VRS Plan 1, so our much more tenured employees, earn between 192 and 264 hours annually. And now in the far right column, you can see hybrid will still earn less, but it provides a little bit more for those hybrid employees. And I did not mention, but it's on the next slide, that this leave for hybrid will be capped at 36 hours. So it's not a full week per year. It's enough for an appointment in a month, or perhaps you save it up over a few months and then you have a sick day or two that happens and just helps. What we found when we were really looking into this, first we had some concerns from employees, and then we dug into the data really deep and found that we found that a lot of employees were going on leave without pay, and it tended to impact our newer, less tenured employees. And so now that this plan is 12 years old and we're able to identify those trends in that data, the 3 hours was consistent with other localities. And so it's actually more on the conservative side, but I believe this is the exact plan that the exact number of hours that York provides. So we did try to benchmark this before implementing it with other localities that we tend to compete with staff for, and found that this was going to make us a little bit more competitive with employee recruitment and retention. I just want to highlight that any other employees that are not hybrid will not be impacted. And lastly, we put up a couple of things that I didn't dig into tonight, but that were discussed at the board retreat. I do anticipate that items 1 and 2, the development of the page site and the future potential development, and sewer line expansion will be discussed during budget season, but there will likely be more feedback requested from the board on those items. Regarding the real estate tax exemptions, I spoke with Miss Harris in the Commissioner's office, the Commissioner of Revenue, and that data, she's working on getting data for those real estate exemptions for veterans and elderly to provide the board some more information as discussed at the retreat. And so that is forthcoming as well. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Ms. Callaway? I know there's, Dr. Leming had one when we were at the fees discussion. Dr. Leming.
Ms. Callaway, can you refresh my memory what a penny on the real estate tax in 2025 brought into the county? Was it 373 or 374?
I think it's 590. 594.
Okay. So when we look at those revenue recovery numbers, and I've just done it as fast as the slides went by my face, are we at maybe 8 cents on the real estate tax to subsidize those three?
Not 8, I'm looking maybe about 4, 3 to 4. So 670.
I'm probably going to stick closer to my number.
850. Well, if you're at 300,000 a penny, but it's close because there's a penny for building inspections, penny and a half planning and zoning, and a half a penny for environmental, perhaps.
So it sort of
there's pennies either way.
It sort of goes to does the user pay, or do the citizens pay? Is the question that the board needs to sort of grapple with. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
The second question I had was on the meals tax. I was confused by your slide.
Okay.
Or perhaps I misheard something. Stop right there. Thank you so much. So the prepared meals tax county rate is 4%. The maximum county rate is 6%. And we're charging 10.3%.
In total.
State and county.
That's state and county together.
Oh.
So there is a 2%.
So hypothetically, thank you, that's why I'm asking for clarification here. Hypothetically, if the board wanted to, I'm not suggesting we do that, but if the board wanted to raise the meals tax, there's a 2% possible under the state cap at the moment.
Correct.
I got that picture now?
Yes, sir.
I finally got it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, we can make the total rate charge 12.3%.
Correct.
Yes.
I now understand, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Any other questions, comments? On the accrued PTO and sick leave, does any of that carry over?
Yes.
And what is that percentage, or is it all of it? I mean, I'm just curious.
It's not all.
Okay.
Let me back up. The sick leave for those that are not hybrid, so tenured employees who have more than 14 years and 12 years in VRS, their sick leave carries indefinitely. Okay. However, we do not pay it out at full salary. Correct. We pay it at a maximum of $5 per hour. Okay. The PTO is capped. I know I'm on that plan. So personally, I know it's 144 hours until you have more than 4 years of tenure. Is the maximum you can carry is 144 hours of PTO. Okay. There are also caps on the annual leave. I don't know them off the top of my head.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned that, and at some point down the road we can share that so we have a better, as a group, an understanding.
Yes.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bonniville.
Do we also have a cap that we pay out at retirement? Is there an end number that we pay there as well?
So that for leave, it's this, so annual and paid time off up to your maximum accrual is paid out at your salary. The sick leave is paid out at a rate between $2 and $5 per hour.
Is there a max number on that as well?
No.
Okay.
It's paid out, yes. And there's a very tiny exception for a very tiny number of highly tenured employees where it is paid out at what their rate was back 20 years ago because they had a bank of sick leave when we changed the policy. So for a handful of employees that impacts.
Any other questions, comments? Next item here. Oh, I do have one question before we move from the board. When we have the budget discussions, do y'all want to have the fee discussion in the budget discussions? I'm thinking Ms. Steele is asking for us to give her guidance. Does we want to see that again? Or do we want to, because we didn't do anything with it last year, I don't want you spending the time on it if we're not gonna do anything with it.
Agreed.
I was getting ready to say, how serious are we at it also? Because if just to look at it's one thing, but if staff's gonna go through the effort of trying to combine other localities, which is a lot of work, I think we need to say, yes, we're willing to do something, or at least a portion of it, or not even look at it.
Well, I for one believe the users should pay. I mean, if there are pennies buried in the general tax rate, that means that everybody in the county is paying for these services. And I appreciate that these services have some corporate value. I don't take away from that. I don't think for a minute that they should be at 90 or 95%. That's really not reasonable. But I think there's some number that is reasonable between the numbers we see and 50%, whatever that distance is, I don't know. But I would personally be in favor of looking at that, and I know all the contractors will call me tomorrow and tell me to go to hell, but anyway. I also know that a larger number of them will also call me when they find out that how much we're subsidizing these departments, by the general fund on the real estate tax. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? With that, I would tend to agree that we probably need to do something. I don't think that staff has to go down a huge rabbit hole. I think our staff probably has the ability to tell us without having to try to do cross-jurisdictional mapping. I think staff can tell us where we probably need to be.
We can look at our actual cost. That's the most important part.
Right, that's what we need to look at. And I think the board has to have that information to have that full discussion during the budget.
Okay.
Okay, so now we will move on to, I believe our next item is item D, discussion and adoption of the 2026 board meeting schedule. Ms. Steele.
And that subject goes right into the calendar, because we had talked about at the previous meeting holding a retreat where we would focus on the budget, and that would really help with the new board members, and that also helps us with preparing the budget. And unfortunately, with the dates that went out on the poll, there was not an agreeable time, a Saturday that could work. So one of the questions I have for feedback, which again could relate into getting more into a sort of a work session about those fees and other revenue and other expense concerns, is do you want to keep going for that and pushing further out, which really gets us into when the budget needs to be put together, or would you like to consider potentially a special meeting or an evening retreat, that afternoon/evening retreat or something to focus on that? And we can send out a poll again.
My question is this. I know February is out there, but currently what is on our February 17th work session? Is that something we could pull off during a work session? And does February 17th give you enough time, Ms. Steele, for that
For that
discussion?
part, yes.
Okay.
And I think we will be right around the time of getting that information from Joanne Harris, the commissioner, too. So I know that's another. Plus, we'll already know by that point what's come out in the General Assembly that might be impacting the taxes. And even though it may not be adopted, we'll know what bills are out there that could be affecting the veterans tax or other taxes.
If it's something we could just do on that night and then potentially continue to another night if needed. I don't know what we have potentially on the docket.
Currently, all we have projected for the February work session, of course, it's very early, is smart scale project discussion and likely a CSA appropriation request, but otherwise I don't have anything specific.
So we could shoot for that.
Let's shoot for that, and then we don't have to put a doodle poll out. And those two items, I think, could easily go in and be done first, and then we can jump into that discussion and get it done without trying to do any more doodle polls.
Okay, great. And we did have a success in planning the capital improvement tour, so there's a resolution for your consideration to adopt the 2026 budget, which would now take care of the work session, including that retreat.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do you need a roll call for that, Ms. Steele?
I don't know.
Yes.
So we
Ms.
depend
Steele,
on
would you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Orth?
Yes.
Mr. Bonniville?
Yes.
Mr. Chriscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Hutson?
Yes.
Dr. Leming?
Yes.
Mr. Nicosia?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. We have now discussion, let me get to it. Discussion and approval of the 2026 Board, Committee, and Commission assignments. We have been talking about this for a while, and if it's the pleasure of the board, if y'all would let me, I will gladly read the names in order, which they're not in the same order, and I'll fix that for next year, on this sheet, and we can do them all at once if that's appropriate. Okay, so for appointment to the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, that will be Ms. Shannon Hanson. Appointment to the Hampton Roads Transportation Planning Organization, be Ms. Shannon Hanson with Mr. Chris Hutson as an alternate. The appointment for the Hampton Roads Military and Federal Facilities Alliance, be Ms. Hanson. Appointment to the Middle Peninsula Planning District Commission, that'll be myself, Mr. Chriscoe, and Mr. Nicosia. The Middle Peninsula Alliance would be myself, Mr. Chriscoe. Appointment to the Northern Neck Regional Jail would be myself, Mr. Chriscoe, and Mr. Nicosia. Resolution of appointment to the Board of Social Services would be Dr. Leming. Resolution for appointment to the Library Board of Trustees would be Dr. Orth. And a resolution for the appointment to the Planning Commission would be Mr. Hutson. That is what we have been talking about via email, and if that is the case, I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Steele, would you poll the board?
Mr. Bonneville?
Yes.
Mr. Chriscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Dr. Leming?
Yes.
Mr. Nicosia?
Yes.
Dr. Orth?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Go get to the end of this item. I know, just gotta get to the right page so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so next we have some appointments by the chair. I will read out the appointments in the order that I have on my sheet in front of me. The first will be the Clean and Green Advisory Committee, will be Dr. Orth. Community Policy and Management Team will be Ms. Shannon Hanson. Economic Development Authority will be Dr. Leming. Historical Committee will be Shannon Hanson. The LEPC, Local Emergency Planning Committee, will be myself and Mr. Bonniville. Middle Peninsula Chesapeake Bay Public Access Authority will be Mr. Hutson and myself. The Middle Peninsula Community Criminal Justice Board will be myself. Parks and Rec Advisory Committee will be Mr. Bonniville. Utilities Advisory Committee will be Mr. Bonniville. Tourism Committee will be Ms. Hanson. And that's all that I have. And I think we now have a few appointments from Ms. Steele.
Just two, and that is for the Transportation Committee, and that would be Mr. Hudson and yourself, Mr.
Okay.
Chriscoe.
Very good. Yes. I sent you a person for a possibility, Ms. Steele, if you're up for it. If not, that's fine as well.
So, okay.
And we can make that appointment if we need to meet, that committee needs to meet.
Right, so that's fine. Mr. Bonneville, we've got down for hazard mitigation. And then for floodplain, you would remain Mr. Chriscoe. And then, for the community use of schools, which I think is actually gonna start meeting, is Mr. Hudson and Mr. Chriscoe.
So moved.
I don't think we need anything on her appointments or mine. No, those, we did the ones by resolution that we needed to do. Next up, we have some board appointments, and I don't believe we have anybody in the volunteer bank for any of those positions. I do believe we have a couple reappointments in our sheet here. For the Board of Building Code Appeals, we have a reappointment desired by Mr. Steve Smith. And then we have on the Historical Committee, 2 reappointments requested for Ms. Linda Breeks and Ms. Roberta Ray.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Next up, Mr. Wilmot, County Attorney items. Oh, sorry, I skipped right over that because I scratched it out too fast. We'll need to approve the 2027 travel amount to be budgeted for each board member. Ms. Steele.
Sorry. Yes, that is set at 1/7 of the amount, so that it would be divided equally. And we have not set, you all have not adopted a 27 budget, but that's what we'll plan on, is dividing it equally, if the board agrees.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. Get back to the, that's, mine is, computer is, no, not on mine.
Right before the, 4 points, 2 points.
I gotta get back to all of them.
Right, a couple of them.
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Steele, will you poll the board?
Mr. Chriscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Hutson?
Yes.
Dr. Leming? Mr. Nicosia?
Yes.
Dr. Orth?
Yes.
And Mr. Bonniville?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Now, Mr. Wilmot, any county attorney items?
First, welcome to the new board members. Nice to have you all here. Ms. Hanson has quite a lot on her plate from the appointments, so I wish her the best, and I'm here to help as much as I can. Unfortunately, I want to express my concern over your recently adopted Section 1-9 of your rules, which says interactions with county attorney. I previously communicated my concerns with this proposal to the entire board, probably by email, which is my disfavored form of communication. But the way it reads is, if any board member contacts the county attorney regarding a question or a legal concern that may be shared by other board members, the county attorney shall promptly share the substantive content of the question or legal concern and the information provided with the entire board. It puts me in an untenable position of basically feeling like I have to record our conversations. I was hired here when Ms. Altimus was chair 17 years ago, and one of the reasons I was hired was because I was, I think, considered to be a person who was fair and didn't take sides. There were, at the time, 4 members on one side of lots of issues and 3 members on the other side of lots of issues. And I didn't work to undermine either side or any individual board member. But it's the same now. For me to be put in a position where every time you talk to me, Mr. Nicosia has called me on some things, which may be of concern to the board, probably isn't, but could be. Mr. Chriscoe has, Dr. Orth has, Mr. Hutson has. The other 3 of you I have not, but although I met with Dr. Leming, we were sitting next to each other at a meeting. I think it was a joint meeting or a planning commission meeting, and you had 3 or 4 questions that you and I discussed. Well, then I would be constrained to share your questions and my responses, and Mr. Nicosia's question, even though it was mostly personal, Mr. Hudson's, Dr. Orth's, Mr. Chriscoe's, every single time that I'm asked a question that may be of concern, doesn't have to be a legal one, but it may be of concern, and most are, then I have to relay it to the entire board. So if this stays in effect, I may consider recording our conversations to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, because I do what you tell me to do. I follow the rules. I'm a good rule follower, except at home. Just ask my wife. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's unreasonable. I don't think that should be there. But if you want it there, then every time one of you all calls me, and so I assume you won't want to call me, because I will share it with every one of you. Thank you for listening.
Dr. Leming, please.
First, a brief moment of reference. I actually know Mr. Wilmot from a previous existence and have the greatest respect for him. Our county attorney really thought highly of Mr. Wilmot, and I've had some dealings with Mr. Wilmot in a previous position, and I can only speak highly of him and his legal counsel. Second, I don't know that it would make him feel better, but I could certainly see the insertion of a word or phrase regarding a question or legal concern regarding the county of Gloucester. I mean, I understand his concern. If I were to call him and ask him something about legal counsel for my person, I would actually hope that he would defer that and not answer it and say, I'm not your counsel, I'm not your lawyer. But the spirit of this particular resolution as adopted is in fact to do exactly what Mr. Wilmot is suggesting, which is to sort of level the information field for all of us. And it's not meant to be burdensome to Mr. Wilmot. It's not meant to be burdensome to the county administrator. What it's meant to do is level the information field for Ms. Hanson and Mr. Bonniville and Dr. Orth, for all of us. It puts us on the same field. And I think of it like Coach Ulserker when we were down there at the Gloucester Rowing Association, where all the rowers had to row together and they all had to have the same cadence and they all had to have the same information. And I think it's a good resolution. I'm sorry that it's burdensome, but I actually think the spirit of the resolution has merit. I can't imagine it would apply to a personal legal concern personally, but that's just me.
In the past, and I've had several dealings with Mr. Wilmot, phone calls, conversations, and every time that it has been deemed appropriate, his response, and he will ask me when I have these conversations, do you want me to send this to you or the entire board? And 9 times out of 10, I said, please share with the entire board. And I think that we can probably accomplish this because Mr. Wilmot is very good at his job. I think Mr. Wilmot, and I don't know if the proper terminology, shall promptly share the substantive contact when he deems it necessary with the entire board, because there are going to be questions that we ask Mr. Wilmot that this 7 of us don't need to know the answer to, and there's going to be times when he's going to go, I got to share it with everybody. And I think that's probably a better way to clear it is when we have that conversation, Mr. Wilmot, in his answer, if he realizes, hey, this needs to be a memo to the board, he'll send it to the board. If it needs to be something to us, he can just call us and tell us what it is, so he can tell us to kick rocks or if we need to ask other questions. That's my take on this. If he's feeling it's going to be burdensome, then that's how I think we should handle it. Do you have a problem with that, Mr. Wilmot? Because we can bring this.
No, sir, but I already share with the entire board things I think
Correct.
that would be of general interest to the entire board. I don't want or need a rule that tells me I have to tell the entire board of every conversation I have that may be shared with the entire board.
I want us to continue as.
I wish you would take it out.
What's the feeling of this board?
I concur with you, Mr. Chriscoe. Given the 14 years that I've been on the board and dealing with Mr. Wilmot, never have I ever had any concern about a question that was just for me only or a question that would have to go to the board. He is a man of the highest integrity, and I appreciate his concerns for the proposed changes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms. Gill.
If I can also state, it's been tough at times to determine prior to this, being in there, of how much to notify the board because of some of the phone calls and some of the emails that you all make, whether directly to me or to a staff member, are a neighbor has asked you something, and if it's something that I know that is going to affect everybody, then I want to send it out. But if taking this to the complete level, then, for example, the question, Mr. Chriscoe, that you asked of Ms. Ducey Ortiz, which was, again, where somebody's asking you a question, you're trying to find out, that would have had to have come to me according to this. So I think it can be overly burdensome. I do think that we have to be careful, for one, with staff contact, where staff are not feeling intimidated because a board member's calling them, et cetera. And then on the other is that if there's something that we know is applicable that everybody needs to know about, that we do our jobs in sending that out. I totally feel like I understand the intent of it, because there are times when board members can be like, I didn't know that. And, but realistically, there's so many minor things that one of y'all might contact, and it's kind of like if we're all doing, if you're sending a letter to me or an email to me and you're asking me a question that you think everybody should know about, starting out that way by sending it to all the board is the best thing to do. So,
I'll abide by it. It's okay. I'll do it, but I don't want to do it. And I don't think it's necessary.
Understood. So how would we like to proceed? You want to bring this back in the next meeting, you want to handle it now? Handle it now.
I mean, you know, we're having an incident right now at Gloucester Point with a business. And I've seen Ms. Ducey Ortiz talk to her a few times about it. And being on the planning commission, I'll be honest with you, I didn't call Carol Steele in advance. I just called Ms. Ducey Ortiz to let her know what was going on and see what we could do about it. So there's times that we don't go there, but I think there's other times when we probably all should know what's going on, and when the email's sent, it needs to be sent all and replied all. And I think that's where, over the past few years, that we've forgotten to do is reply all. We'll only reply to one back or whatever. So if the whole board is good, that would be helpful.
I believe I've had instruction from the county attorney not to reply all. But so how do we want to handle 1.9? Do we
Well,
want?
one other point is that, you know, for the new board members, you know, about a year ago or whenever, we were concerned about so many things happening in the county that we instructed Ms. Steele to give us weekly updates. And they've been really very helpful. So some of the issues that are here now appear in your weekly updates that everyone gets. So that's been very helpful. And I know recently there are some questions for Ms. Steele to put additional information so we really know what's going on. And again, for the new board members, I have found that very, very helpful to be kept up, especially with utility issues as they occur, because so many things happen almost every single week. So, you know, that's in addition to the types of things that we're talking about here with Mr. Wilmot. But I would like to see it stay the way it has been, because we haven't had any problems at all regarding transparency. Mr. Wilmot has been very attentive to every single detail regarding this.
Do you want to make a motion to remove item 1.9 from?
So moved.
Is there a second? Do y'all want to remove 1.8 as well?
Amended to yes.
So 1.8, 1.9, will you change your second? So we are now removing 1.8 and 1.9 to stay in line with what currently goes on in the county. So as everybody is clear, Ms. Steele, would you poll the board? I don't know if they want to discuss any. Dr. Leming, is there anything you want to?
I'm opposed to removing it. We've just adopted it. The board adopted it unanimously. There's been no harm from it so far. I personally think we ought to let it ride for a couple months. If you want to go back in a couple of months and you find it burdensome, we can change it. But I think this is a foolish venture currently, my own opinion.
Okay. Any other comments? Ms. Steele, would you poll the board?
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Hutson?
Yes.
Dr. Leming?
No.
Mr. Nicosia?
Yes.
Dr. Orth?
Yes.
Mr. Bonniville?
Yes.
Mr. Chriscoe?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay. All right. Mr. Wilmot, are you complete with your county attorney item?
More than so, yes, sir.
That's the most you've held us up in a meeting in 14 years.
I do apologize. Thank you.
No.
But now I won't be bothering you with other things.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll move to boards and commission reports. I know some of you haven't had a board and commission to go attend to, but anything from any of the other members? Okay. Supervisor discussion.
Okay.
Mr. Nicosia.
Mr. Chair, if I may, for you all and some members of the public, as most of you know, the holidays were not the greatest for the Supervisor of Ware District. But I want to thank those who reached out to me, citizens who reached out to me via email. Because of my job, a lot of my constituents know who I am, and my students got wind of me being in pretty rough shape. So I got a lot of emails and from constituents, and I want to thank you all for checking on me, but I also want to thank the people of the county for making sure that I was all right and speaking kind words to my family as they tried to navigate, as we all tried to navigate what was going on. So I just wanted to publicly thank those who reached out to me in the public. I really appreciated it, and it really helped with the recovery. Thank you.
Sir, we're glad you're doing better and on the mend. Any other supervisor discussion? Yes. Mr. Hutson?
Ms. Steele, seeing Ms. Nicosia come in as usual, Mr. Bonniville come in as he did this evening, and me just having my knee replaced, what is the status of the elevator in Building 2?
So we've learned there's 3 people named Mace from 2 companies. And the wrong Mace showed up, the other Mace came, didn't. Supposedly the correct Mace, I believe it was today, was supposed to be there, or it's tomorrow, it's this week. So,
So what does that mean? Oh, he was shaking his head yes.
Oh, okay. I mean, we have to get, not Johnson Controls, but the other company, they have to be in there to help do the wiring. And Mr. McIntyre has called and called and called and spoken with them. And in my email to you all, I told him, I almost said what he said, which he said to both companies, I expect to see you at my funeral so you all can let me down one last time. And I thought that was a great reply. But he is trying very hard, but we're dealing with companies that have a lack of staff and some inadequate staff. We've already made the decision that when we move to fix the elevator in Building 1, that we will not be using this company again. But we're locked in, and they are supposed to be getting it right, and then it has to be inspected. So as soon as they can get the phone and the elevator and talking for emergencies and things, I think we're ready to go. But it's been, I mean, when they were saying they were bringing another, when Mace has already been here, no, it's a different Mace. And then the other company has a Mace too. I think it's the same person 3 times personally, but it's been a mess. And as I told you all too, it's been very inconvenient for employees. There's many of us that bring in lots of different things, and I'm just really happy that nobody has gotten hurt, and that we're trying to accommodate people as much as possible. And I hope that the next time we have to fix an elevator, we have nothing like this. And thank goodness this didn't happen in the courthouse. It's like as bad.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for reminding me about the county administrator's reports, because I read with great interest the neglect of Tyndall Park in one of those county reports, and I had the opportunity to walk through Tyndall Park last Sunday. Boy, what a overgrown place. I'm surprised that it's in our portfolio of parks. And I guess one of my questions was, given the 250th and the 375th, and that probably being one of the most important historical parks, what's the plan to clean it up? I mean, at the moment, it's pretty tough.
If I can, Mr. Chair, so we had an excellent meeting with the National Park Service today that we knew we were going to be looking at trying to get a grant. We thought, and this is not just a grant to clean up, this is a grant to enhance every aspect of that park, because it's a diamond in the rough. People don't know the importance of it, even though we have an interpretive panel. The difficulty it is to get to it, as well as not having more exciting and more information, is a problem. So there are 3 different grants that we are eligible for, and the first grant is for a planning grant, and it's 100% match, And the request and the NOFO coming out from the federal government about all the notice of funding is coming out about 3 weeks. And I've already reached out to our Middle Peninsula grant writer to say, this is coming. And we're very excited about doing this cultural resource study because we have a situation of not just overgrown, we don't know some of the things that we should and should not do, and we don't know some of the things that we have and don't have. We know that that fort was rebuilt 3 times, but there's nobody, maybe Dave or Thane know, but I'm not aware of anybody who can walk out there and say, this is absolutely Rev War original, or there is nothing Rev War original. And so that's part of that study. And we talked about having, it takes about a year to get the study done. We talked about the maintenance being done at a minimal level as far as, we don't ever go into the ground, but cutting things back. But the area that's back off into the woods, we will probably not be touching until we have the landscape cultural people come in and do their assessment. I think we have, we've received one of these grants before. We did for Battle of the Hook, and it produced a 170-plus page document that gives all the history, and it was a wonderful, you hire the experts to do it. So I think by within a year, we will have most of a report, I hope, that tells us not only more about what we physically have there, but it gives us a plan for the next grant, because we're all working towards 2031. And we've been working on the historical information of who was there. I mean, literally looking at the names of family, people that are still around that were stationed there. We know about prisoners and things that we didn't know in the past. So lots of research going on, and I think it's going to be part of that gateway plan that will change everything. And I'll also throw into there, because it's affected, part of it you can't see as you're coming across the bridge. I met with Carol Rizzio today and Ann Ducey-Ortiz, and you have in your adopted legislative agenda request for the gateway improvement. And Carol and her volunteer landscape architect husband put together a phenomenal plan, and we got to see how far it can go, but this is, taking it to the next level. And so and part of that is emphasizing that when you come in, you're recognizing that this is part of Gloucester Point, and this is part of that, except that we are a major player of that colonial history. So I apologize that it has been left to the level it has. We had some changes in our park staff, and we were down staff, and this is one of the ones that kind of got neglected. So it's in the worst shape it's been in a while, but we're going to get it minimal and then get the whole thing done.
Mr. Chairman, on a separate issue, and I'm not going to take up Mr. Perez's gauntlet about Old 17, but refresh my memory. I believe that somewhere in the board processes, there is a mechanism for a board member in that district to request a traffic calming study from VDOT. Is that correct?
That's how it's been done in the past, correct?
Okay, I'm not sure the public knows that. I understood his concern and complaint, but obviously this board doesn't control the speed limit on Old 17.
Correct.
In order for this board to do anything, if it wanted to, my understanding is it would ask VDOT to do a traffic study and potentially adopt either a lower speed limit or implement traffic calming maneuvers.
Correct, and that's how it will happen. We can probably reach out before, but typically when Mr. McKnight is here, that's one of the things we will bring up when he's here for his reports.
And that was my next question, Mr. Chairman, and that was, typically we always had the VDOT representative at our meetings. Is that commonplace here? And that's who you're talking about, Mr.
McKnight is our.
And does he come to the first or when does he?
It's quarterly, that's what I meant.
Okay.
I did have that on my follow-up notes, and I was going to check with you all whether you wanted to go ahead and I can make contact, and if there is a consensus then that you'd like to ask for that study, we can get the ball rolling.
And I think it might be really important given the sidewalk that's there. And now people are walking regularly along that sidewalk. I think safety is a concern, and so this might be an appropriate avenue to force the issue of a speed limit change.
So I'm still on the same topic, and you'll forgive my ignorance. Mr. McKnight is out of Saluda,
Yes.
and all the traffic safety planning goes out of Fredericksburg?
Yes, he reports to Fredericksburg,
Okay, I'm just,
so,
He's our district supervisor.
right, we have
so
to
it
go
goes
through him.
Okay.
Yes.
Because sometimes okay, thank you.
Yep, he's our conduit to Fredericksburg.
And we do meet with the people from Fredericksburg, as well as the people from Saluda. We have a Teams meeting with them routinely, so.
I thought he had some legitimate safety concerns,
Yes.
that's all. I think the speeds are too high on that road.
And just remember when we requested years ago to get T.C. Walker speed limit reduced. They reduced part of it, but the part we really wanted reduced, they didn't reduce.
Any other items for supervisor discussion? We have no closed meeting. There's one item left on the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? We are adjourned.